after 10 hours of jury deliberation and a question that I shared with you yesterday at 11 o'clock, and certainly the jury shared with the judge, which I thought rather gave it all away, as we discussed yesterday. The jury filed in total, and unanimous it would appear in their verdict, that Dr. Philip Polkinghorne had not murdered, or at least was not guilty of the murder of his wife, Pauline Hannah. It was a trial, and it is a trial, an ongoing drama, that I have very little doubt will feature as one of the cause celebs of my lifetime. Primarily as a consequence of the almost saturation media coverage from the mainstream media of the event, and because the details, not so much of the murder, but of the lifestyles of those involved, seem so salacious. It's very interesting in a piece that has been written by, ironically, a writer based in France, C.J. Stead's daughter. Gosh, what's her name? Grimshaw, Charlotte Grimshaw, that's her name, the writer. She commented on the fact that the real reason that we were intrigued by it was because it was essentially a soap opera. It was the rich and the famous, and she actually found that to be quite disquieting, that rich and supposedly well-educated people can't also have, shall we say, flawed insides and questionable morals as well. I thought that it doesn't matter what socioeconomic group you live to, there are good people, there are bad people. It doesn't really matter ethnicity, culture, or I would have thought money, but there you go. But nevertheless, as her explanation was, that we were absolutely beset with this particular trial because it had everything that would appear to the salacious aspects of our own character and to our voyeuristic tendencies. Yes, but there are a lot of things that flow from it, including the extraordinary, and I can only describe that as the extraordinary statements of the prostitute at the heart of this particular action as well, which was Madison Ashton, who wasn't at the heart of the trial, and what seems on the scale of it to be another stuffed up police Crown investigation and prosecution. We've seen quite a few in the last wee while. Joining us to make some sense of this, one of New Zealand's outstanding criminal barristers, and without doubt, I have to say, Marie, an extraordinary experience in this kind of thing. Marie Dyhrberg joins us now. Lovely to have you on.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for your kind words.
Well, you are. You're a very, very good criminal barrister and lawyer, and you would have appreciated, I think, the work of Dr. Polkinghorne's criminal team.
Oh, there's no question about the skill and just how strongly they went for what was really this trial was all about. The rest was, we'll deal with what the rest was and just how relevant so much of it was in terms of the trial, but it was all about the forensics. And that's why people, like yourself, but also saying you're not surprised by the verdict, but leading up to the verdict, all lawyers were saying hasn't reached the standard. The forensics are missing. He should be acquitted. Whereas all the non-jury people out there saying, well, he's awful, he's unlikable, and if he didn't actually kill her, he drove her to suicide, therefore he should be convicted. And that is really disturbing to think that that has become acceptable now, to say, well, this is our justice system. This is what Beyond Reasonable Doubt is all about, or fair trial rights. And I think that what I think is happening is we are sliding down a slippery slope into the, as you say, the salacious, the sensational, the glee that so many people seem to enjoy, to say, well, these are the people up top, they're no better, they're just the hoi polloi like us. And it's almost that tall poppy syndrome, that the extra part in all of this was to see somebody professional, somebody successful, somebody well off, just to be ordinary and capable of being
Not a very
not
nice
the
person.
pure-driven
Yeah,
snow.
that's right.
There's that aspect that I found really disturbing.
Listen, the other thing that struck me, Marie, was during the trial, the attempts by numerous mental health advocates and organisations to restrict the coverage of the trial, utilising the argument that the coverage of the trial would somehow trigger certain vulnerable people into, one presumes, killing themselves or at least harming themselves in some way. What did you make of that?
Well, I find that myself is so. If that does happen for some people, then that's unfortunate, but that can't stand in the way of a fair trial. But you and I both remember the terrible days where we hid suicide, where you weren't allowed to report suicide because of what it did for youth. And we used to fight that because the more you know about it, the more people and the teachers in the schools or whatever are able to deal with the youth or deal with somebody put out there that you might even be 50 or 60 and you're still vulnerable to suicide, but hiding it is not going to help whatsoever. And the fact of the matter is, how it was reported, I have real misgivings about. But the fact of the matter, this was a trial that was either, was it murder, was it suicide? And suicide was front and centre. So what were you trying to do by prevent that sort of media reporting is you forget what reporting is all about. You're educating, informing the public what the facts are in any trial.
No, you're right. You're right, Marie. I found it odd, and obviously so did the judge, and he rejected those attempts to censor the coverage of the particular case. Listen, let's take a big picture view, and then we can come down into some of the detail. But I'm stunned that obviously the media had Madison Ashton, the hooker, high-class escort, whatever you call girlfriend, whatever she is. I'm stunned that the lady did not appear. It appears now as a prosecution witness, and she said she had plenty of evidence. She obviously believed that he had killed, at least on her public pronouncements in the last 12 hours, he had killed his wife. And that she wasn't utilised by the prosecution or the police as their star witness. Did that surprise you as well?
Well, I would love to have her in the witness box and cross-examine her, only based on what has been reported in the media, for sure. Certainly, the fact that she says, I was there to be the star witness. Well, she sort of, in a way, every day you saw that photo of the defendant standing next to her with all her surgically enhanced.
Up front, yes.
Exactly. With this dress, that sort of work, and whatever. And that in itself was terribly prejudicial to be focused on that each day. But when I looked at what she said I could have given this sort of evidence, none of it, well, some of it wouldn't have even been relevant. And it got into the trial in any event. So what she says she could have added and been the star, but chose not to, and criticised the police case. So what? It was ho-hum. It was like, well, actually, my dear, we didn't really need you. We had all that. And
do you think they also regarded her as an unreliable witness, Marie?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.